request Ms. M. Satyaprabha, ma'am, Assistant Professor of English Department, to introduce the chief guest of the day.
Dr. Ruchi Raj Thakur, an educator and a writer, teaches at Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Simla. She has been working as an assistant professor of English at Himachal Pradesh National Law University since October 2016. She has a teaching experience of 13 years, diaspora writings, and social issues pertaining to the unprivileged, disregarded, and oppressed sections of society have been her area of research. She also works in the area of margins, partition, displacement, trauma, gender stereotype, and magical realism in literature. She has published many research papers in national, online, and offline journals, and chapter which has been published in various edited books. She has also presented papers in several national and international seminar conference organized in India. She has also translated a book originally written in the Hindi, which is titled Adivasi Abuse, whose Woes of Adivasi, a long expression of acknowledged tribal existence. She has also worked as a counselor at Indira Gandhi National Open University and MEG program offered from September 2010 to June 2012. As a researcher, she has contributed numerous research articles in many national and international journals. She has been invited as a resource person in various conferences and faculty development programs and workshops, etc. So, ma'am, may I take this session opportunity to welcome you, ma'am?
Thank you so much for such courteous words, for such a lovely introduction. I'm much delighted. And I also want to thank the HOD of the department, who did not leave anybody and acknowledged everybody's presence. And it was done with such ease. So thank you so much. That has given me a boost. And I hope I'll try to put before you the contention of my today's deliberation. So thank you so much. I would like to begin my today's, discussion. But for that, I need to share the presentation. Give me a minute. Just give me a minute.
Presentation. Yes.
Ma'am, I don't know, but I failed to share the screen.
Ma'am, please.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Actually, you shared your screen, ma'am. It was visible. Now it is not sharing.
Okay, it was visible. All right, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was visible.
All right.
Again, you start sharing, ma'am.
All right, I'll share it.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
All right. I mean, talking about, I would like to talk comprehensively about Dalit feminism, and but there are so many writers, there's so much of work, but I would like to focus on this concept through the lens of Baby Kamble and Urmila Pawar, and I've titled my today's presentation as Dalit Feminism, a glance at the woes of Dalit women through the lens of Baby Kamble and Urmila Pawar. My dear learners, we all are, most of us grew up in a culture in which gender inequality is institutionalized. Every single day of our lives, women believe themselves to be inferior because they are conditioned that way. Our social conditioning makes us believe that subordination and subservience is part of our existence. And we accept that subordination, we accept oppression and exploitation as our destiny. So, I would like to begin our today's discussion with a few questions to deeply deliberate upon. Um, I could, I mean, before I do that, I mean, I just came across a beautiful, description of the woes of the tribulations of Dalit women in the song written by Rabindranath Tagore, uh, his Bengali dance drama, Chandalika. And it reads something like this: Chu chu na chi, O je Chandalini, jihi, nosto hobo, je doi, she kotha jano naki, which means don't touch her. Oh, she's the daughter of a Dalit woman. Your yogurt will get spoiled, don't you know? So when I read this, I mean, I found that it has a complete description of the tribulations, of the challenges of Dalit women, how Dalit women are enduring exploitation, how are they facing, how are they encountering humiliation at every step of, every stage of life. So I wanted to start my presentation with this, and I'm sure these few lines must have stirred the thought of sensitivity in you too. And I'm sure we all must be thinking of what they must be enduring, what they must be combating, or what they must be, experiencing every day. So, as I said, we'll just talk for a minute. Before talking about Dalit feminism, it is very important to know about them. Who is Dalit feminism? Feminist? Who who are they? Uh, are they feminists? And if they are feminists, why are we calling them Dalit feminists? Are we categorizing them? Are we bringing them under a particular category? Yes, we are bringing them under a particular category because Dalit feminism is different from feminism. Feminism, which I'll explain later. Dalit feminists are those who spearhead the intersectional feminist movement, one who underscores Dalit women's experience, highlighting their woes in the name of or in the light of gender and caste, where they're talking not only about their harrowing experiences as women, but as women who belong to a particular category where they are called children of God, they are called Harijans, they are called untouchables, they are called Dalits, which which is a Sanskrit word which means downtrodden, which means browbeaten. So these feminists are, particularly they are specifically talking about what Dalit women are experiencing. What are they? They're talking about their exploitation. They're talking about how their rights are infringed, or they are devoid of their rights as even as human beings. So these Dalit feminists are mainly talking about this. Coming to the second question, what does feminism, womanhood and gender look like from the vantage point of Dalit women? Answer is simple. You might feel that I'm repeating the same, but yes, they have a very clear perspective. If we look at feminism, if we look at womanhood and gender, from the point of view of Dalit women, they are, you will realize that we are talking about a particular social, classification or a social strata which has recognized hierarchy within hierarchy. So hierarchy is existing within one. So they are talking because they are living under the cusp of gender and caste. Caste is, is making them suffer every day. A day in and day out, they are experiencing, because they are experiencing something horrific, something horrible, something which is inhuman, insensitive, because they are not only women, but they are women who belong to a particular caste. Moving to the third question, we often, we are confused that, there could be a misbelief, there could be a misconception where, many a times, like when I talk to my students about feminism, they always believe that it's only women who talk about feminism. Only they talk about the rights of women. Are we not incorrect in saying so? Because there are many men. If we talk about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, if we talk about writers like Mulk Raj Anand, if we talk about Ambedkar, if we talk about Barack Obama, they all talked about women. If we talk about Mahatma Gandhi, yes, he also talked about women. So but they are men. So are they not feminists? So here my answer. I mean, my answer. I know, because of the constraint of time, because I have limited duration to speak. So I might not invite responses for that. You need to accept all my apologies. So yes, I believe men can be feminists. Because feminists are one who believe that women and men and women are equal, and they deserve equal rights. And feminist spans across, all or any gender, sexual preferences, or ethnic identities, because they do not recognize such things. So my answer. So here I think I've managed to clear a small doubt, which is rooting itself, which is finding, which is somewhere entrenched in our minds. We believe that only women, because they suffer, so they talk about the equal rights of men and women. So they are fighting against, against the discriminatory practices of our society. But that's not true. There are many writers. If we talk about Yashpal, if we talk about Rabindranath Tagore, I mean, everybody has written about, many writers have written, male writers have written about the cause of women. So, moving to the next question, last question. Are all women writers feminist? My answer here, I would like to go back to the point from where I started my today's lecture. No, all women are women, sorry, all women or women writers are not feminists. My simple answer to this would be, we are nurtured by our customary practices. We are raised by, as part of the social, as dwellers of the society. We are nurtured by the thoughts which prevail in our society. So many a times, you'll find that there are women who belong to different categories. You'll come across women who are ready to accept what they are facing, because they consider that to be that part of existence, to be quintessential to their living, because they are told that they need to respect their husbands, they need to respect their male counterparts, where I'm not saying that they should be disrespectful when they are in a relationship. I'm not saying that, but unnecessary obligations must be, they must be dealt sensibly and wisely, where relationships are not, they do not break. And there are women who are ready to, who are so obdurate in their ways that they, for no reason, they would say no to everything. And there are women who would accept what is good, and would like to leave what is not acceptable, right? So many women writers, or many women, do not feel like going against or swimming across the tide, because they believe that this would bring a social stigma on them, and they would be considered as bad women. And because they want to please the society, the so-called sarpanch of the society. So they would, they would, without questioning, they would succumb to all the pressure, considering it to be part of their, considering subordination to be part of their existence. So moving further, let's first understand what feminism is meant to be. uh, I'm pretty sure we all are very clear with what feminism advocates, what feminists promote. They advocate women's rights on the basis of the equality of sexes. And here they are not talking about strength or power. They are not talking about physical strength, because they believe, feminists are very clear that they want men and women to be human beings, to be equal, equal partners. And so they are very clear on this thing, that if you're talking about the physical strength, that men are more powerful, then that means the very meaning of feminism is being defeated, because they are not here to talk about their physical, the similarity in terms of physical strength or power. They are only talking about rights. They are only talking about how they should be treated. If one is placed here, the other should also be placed equally. So this is what they are fighting for. The theory of They are also talking about equality in terms of politics, in terms of economics, in terms of in terms of social norms. And they are very clear that all these are quintessential in the living of human beings, because these protect them. And these things are much these they are part of this arena. So one cannot be cornered and the other cannot be placed in the center. Another the belief Feminists believe that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities, which is of course we are witnessing change, but I think lot has been done, but something has already been done, but something more needs to be done. They also advocate that social, political, and all other rights of women must be given to them, because they are given to men as well. Now, Dalit women have been left in lurch by both. And now, why are we talking about? Why are we categorizing? Why have we separated Dalit feminism from feminism? It's because Dalit women have been left in lurch by both modern feminists and male-dominated Dalit women. The women movement is its enthrallment of sisterhood, because it failed to, feminism, modern feminism, feminism failed to acknowledge, even, think about the problems of Dalit women. Dalit women are out of that fray. They are talking, of course, the feminists are talking about the rights of women. They are trying to place her at an equal pedestal. They are not talking about placing women at a higher pedestal, higher than men. They are not. They are not inviting any sort of competition. They are not insisting that she should win in that competition. It's not this is not their contention. So, but where is the gap? The gap is they are generalizing the whole situation. They believe women, they consider women issues to be they consider them to be uniform, which is not, because of which Dalit women believe that they have been ignored. So caste factor is one which needs much attention. Now, while the Dalit movement has remained patriarchal and sees the Dalit women's oppression merely as caste oppression. So, and Dalit women believe that, they are suffering because caste is something which is, putting them, which is suffocating, which is strangulating their existence. They fail to breathe free because they belong to, they are women, plus they belong to that caste. Now, what is Dalit feminism? Dalit feminism, as I've already talked about, it has an emancipator potential against caste and gender, because it is a cusp of caste and gender. It considers the experiences of marginalized women with a large, heterogeneous social structure. It is a perspective that asks vehemently about the caste and gender roles in the whole Dalit population, which in turn consolidated the whole feminist movement. So all they're trying to say is that, the factor of caste must also be incorporated in that big list of issues which are making women's life a little difficult. So they are only, they are aiming at the inclusion of that factor which is which is which is in a way losing their existence. So that is losing them to death, because every day they are being exploited. Now, what are the major challenges? As I've already discussed, that feminism campaigns on issues such as reproduction. They talk about the reproduction rights. They talk about violence within a domesticity, or they talk about violence in a domestic partnership. They talk about discrimination. They talk about sexual violence. Feminism, seeks to cross boundaries based on social, political, cultural, and religious, arenas or domains. They specifically, which are relevant to a specific segment of society. So Dalit feminists believe that they are talking about women, but not them. So because of this, various gaps have emerged. And what are the major challenges which, according to Dalit feminists, which Dalit feminists are encountering? They believe that Feminism as an academic discourse recognizes our social political lives that our political lives are fundamentally based on inequality between men and women. So they believe that they are only talking about gender. They are only talking about gender inequality. They are talking about disparity because of in the name of gender. Yeah, so according to them, they are not very pleased with their one agenda where they are talking only about men, the disparity, the big gap that exists between men and women. So they are questioning their I mean, they're questioning them that why only social gender roles? Why? I mean, why are they talking about gender roles? They're talking about gender inequality. Why can't it be something that speaks about their rules too? So, feminist thinkers hold various standpoints concerning the origin and cause of gender inequality and put forward significant measures that may correct this hierarchical, social order based on gender. So, they want that it should be a combination of gender and caste, and not only gender. Broadly, there are two primary challenges for the development of that sort of Indian feminist thought that we champion. First, feminists claim to represent all women issues in India. They believe that we are talking about all women. So this is deeply problematic according to the Dalit feminists. Second, women issues are considered homogenized. So that means they consider it to be uniform, which is not serving the purpose of Dalit feminists. Moving further, talking a little more about the gaps. Indian feminists have initially abandoned women's relation to caste. In the beginning of the 21st century, feminists have increasingly begun to recognize this oversight. Of course, feminists have already started their work. They have started talking about the sufferings of, the doleful condition of Dalit women. But that needs to catch up pace. So because they believe that the acceleration needs to, they need to press the button of acceleration so as to catch the pace, which Indian feminists are lagging. Moving further, but mainstream Indian feminists have bypassed this rectifying body of knowledge despite its importance and relevance. It is believed that they have started highlighting the problems, the tribulations of Dalit, women, but they need to do it, they need to do it sincerely, so that the society becomes conscious towards them. Indian feminist discourse has suppressed the caste question to such an extent that feminism itself has been seen as a modality of subjugating women from Dalit communities. So it is believed that Dalit women believe that because feminists are talking about the rights of a particular segment of society, they believe it to be for upper caste. So they believe that even a simple feminism, this movement is aiming to suppress them. They find it regressive because they're not talking about them. They're only talking about the other segment and not them. So Dalit feminism, we are talking about all these things so that the void can be filled. This bridge, this gap can be bridged. Moving further, now theorizing, Dalit. Let's talk about Dalit difference. Why these? What are these? Gaps. I'll take another 1 minute to talk about these gaps so as to understand what Dalit feminists are talking about. They believe due to the lack of adequate focus on the caste gender nexus, violence against Dalit women tends to be marked as either as caste atrocity or sexual atrocity. So there's a gap between feminism and Dalit feminism because they believe that they're not talking about their caste. They are not talking about the combination. They are not working for a combination. They're only working for one factor. They're only talking about, they're pressing upon gender equality and not talking about the disparity which is coming into emergence because of this rotten, because of this wicked, because of this insensitive caste system. The second point is mainstream feminism do not capture unique uniqueness of the marginalization of the intersection point of different types of discrimination. They're saying they're only talking about gender disparity, but they're not taking into account the other factors which are adding to the woes of women. So they consider feminism to be lopsided. They of course they're claiming it to be for all, but that's not something which has managed to convince Dalit feminists. Now, moving to the third point, women faces a kind of discrimination at the intersections of her multiple identities, which she may not face if she would belong singularly to any of the particular social, cultural, economic, political, or regional categories. She believes that if feminists are talking about upper caste women, then how do they claim that they are talking about everybody? That means they're only talking about the problems of a particular segment of the society. So when they talk about them, that means they're not talking about Dalits. So this is perturbing them. Now, feminism within the Indian context, therefore, needs to interrogate and redefine mainstream Indian feminism from a Dalit point of view. They need to look at things from a broader perspective where they incorporate the point of view of Dalits too, Dalit women in particular. And Dalit feminism investigates the relation between gender and caste. The inclusion of Dalit feminists through, thought substantively furthers the feminist ideals of freedom, equality, and solidarity, where they can acquire a more collective tone. So, these are the two gaps which which Dalit feminists, wish uh, to be they want to be heard. They want that they wish that feminists must pay heed to their sufferings. Now, what is Dalit feminism? To elaborate, Dalit feminism revolves around experiences of Dalit women to understand patriarchy and interrelation of caste and gender. We have already talked about that. They are protesting against feminism's endeavor to tag all women facing the tyranny of patriarchy under all inclusive category women, voice of dissent against a structural hierarchy of caste, which perpetuated the ethos of inequality and maintains the segregation of power. So, this is what I've repeated that a number of times. So, I hope Dalit feminism is clear. Now, to understand it, to have a better understanding, it is important to understand the Brahmanical nature of patriarchy, which is graded. This inequality in terms of gender is based on the Brahmanical nature of patriarchy, or that hierarchy which is created by Brahmanical patriarchy. So there are four, according to this. If we talk about the strata which has been brought out by Brahmanical nature of patriarchy, then we have four categories. We have upper caste men. They are considered to be the most privileged because they are men. Upper caste women, and that's not to offend anybody. upper caste women, we are practically talking about, the tribulations, the challenges, the sorrowful situation of women, because it's not that, I mean, and you know what? I'm talking about them because I'm not talking about all women, but I'm talking about those who are actually witnessing the discrimination, because they are considered to be inferior, so they are actually suffering. I am not suffering, so I mean, I am not talking about myself. I'm not talking about A, B, Z. I'm talking about some particular category, that could that is that category is one which is actually enduring, which is actually undergoing this humiliation because they are women. So moving to the second, I'm sorry if you feel that I'm getting carried away. The second is upper caste women are most privileged because we are comparing them to the lower caste women, so they are also privileged. Now lower caste men are more deprived. uh, Sorry, here I would like to correct, upper caste women are more privileged. Just um, more privileged. Now moving to the next, lower caste men are more deprived, and lower caste women are most deprived. So if we look at the category at this, this classification, so who is at the bottom? Who is being humiliated? Who is suffering the most? That would be the fourth category, which is for lower caste women. And why are why are they suffering? There are a number of reasons. Now lower caste women are most prone to violence, as they face oppression at three levels. We have already talked about caste, class, because they are lower caste. If we look at the social stratification, they belong to the bottom. And if we draw a chart where we are talking about the gender, about sexes, then also she is at the bottom. And the women who is placed at the bottom, you will find there's a subcategory which is given to Dalit women. Now the last is gender. So caste, class, and gender. Class, because they are meant for they are given menial tasks. They perform menial tasks. They are meant for such tasks which are not respectful. They are not graceful. So all these three are working against Dalit women. Now, to understand Brahmanical patriarchy, what is Brahmanical? Do they belong to? Do we mean that they belong to this patriarchy? Is something which is given to us by Brahmins, or those who practice it are Brahmins? No. The answer would be no. It is important to now who belong to this patriarchy. It does not refer to patriarchal practices followed by Brahmin men. It has nothing to do with caste. Instead, it represents the multi-form nature of patriarchy against women in India. Anyone, regardless of her caste or gender, who believes, practices, preaches, or encourages any kind of discrimination based on this hierarchical structure would be considered as a follower of Brahmanism by definition. So Brahmanism has not come from Brahmin. It does not mean that only Brahmin men practice it. All those who, regardless of caste or gender, they are promoting discriminatory practices. They are following hierarchical, they are dominating in the name, because they belong to a particular category in the hierarchical structure or in that edifice. I mean, is considered to be the follower of Brahmanism by definition. Just as it does not require a man to practice misogyny, it is not necessarily Brahmins who practice Brahmanism. So, in his analysis of caste, Ambedkar considered patriarchy as the twin sister of Brahmanism. So he considered that not only, I mean, he was obviously against this caste discrimination, but he was also against, yeah, patriarchy, because patriarchy would promote a lot of discrimination, disrespect to women. It certainly, misogyny would be a very harsh word, but yes, you know that patriarchal setup would encourage a particular type of practice. Now, moving further, dear learners, I would like to throw light on something that, the two incidents which made me feel really bad when I learned about the case of Banwari Devi, which happened in 1992, and Khirlanji massacre in 2006, I was literally at the verge of, I might have cried, because that is not acceptable. Because we cannot claim a particular category to be human beings who feel the pain, and a particular category who is not treated as human beings, so they are treated insensitively, brutally, and so we promote we show atrocious behavior towards them. That is not acceptable. So I thought, before I would talk about Dalit feminism in making way in literature, I thought I should talk about these two cases also. So very crispily, I would talk about the first case, Banwari Devi. Banwari Devi was she belonged to she was a Dalit woman who was working. She was a Sathin working in the women's development project of Rajasthan government, and she was against the practice of child marriage. Her only fault was that she tried to stop uh, the marriage of 1 year old girl, because that was supposed to take place in 1992, because she raised a voice of dissent against this practice, where a year old child was about to get married. So she was raped by 5 men of the same village. They brutally raped her. And you know what? The ugliest part of this story is that all these 5 rapists who humiliated her were acquitted from the court. This was one that disturbed me. And the second one, which belongs to, which is about Bhot Mange's family. This family belonged to the scheduled caste, and they sustain by cultivating their own land. And the lady of the family, Surekha, she was known for being assertive for her of her rights. She would always talk about her rights, and she would claim her rights as a woman, which displeased many. uh One day, what happened, she was with her daughter when she witnessed a brawl between two men. And one of them was very powerful, so she filed a complaint against that powerful man, who was Binjeshwar. His name was Binjeshwar. So she went to police station, and she filed a complaint against that man. Um he took bail after he was arrested, and after 14 days he came out on bail. And the same day, he goes to the village of that lady Surekha. He not only rapes her and her daughter, but later kills them and also kills the two sons of the family. And unfortunately, only the head of the family, I mean, men are considered to be head of the family, so he hides himself. He does not combat, he does not come out, and he, he looks at that dreadful sight without retaliating. Of course, it wasn't wise to retaliate against those men, because he had come with his goons. And so this massacre of 2006 of 2006 is I mean, we cannot forget that. When we are talking about, I mean, why are we talking about them? Because these are true events. These are the brutal realities of lower caste women. Now, intersections of gender and I mean, I would like to skip this. All right. Now, who are the pioneers of Dalit feminism? I would like to talk about them by after reading um, Muktabai's thoughts. Uh, Mukta Salve is was the first pioneer of Dalit feminism. And let me just read what she has written. O learned Pandits, wind up the selfish prattle of your hollow wisdom and listen to what I have to say. If the Vedas belong only to the Brahmins, then it is an open secret that we do not have the book. We are without the book. We are without any religion. If the Vedas are for the Brahmins only, then we are not bound to act according to the Vedas. If merely looking at the Vedas can get us into grievous sins, as the Brahmins claim, then would not following them be the height of foolishness. Muslims lead their lives according to their Qurans. English people follow their Bible, and Brahmins have their own Vedas. Because they all have their own good or bad religion that they follow, they are somewhat happier than us who are without any religion. Oh God, your true religion, so that we all can lead our lives according to it. Let that religion where only one person is privileged and the rest deprived vanish from the earth, and let it never enter our minds to boost of such a discriminatory religion. These were the words of Mukta Salve. She was the first voice of dissent. The other we are familiar with, Jyotiba Phule, Savitri Bai. Jyotiba was against. He considered Hinduism to be a missionary religion until the advent of caste system. Savitri Bai, who was illiterate, but she opened a school for women, and she opened school for Dalit girls in 1848 in Pune, and that was with the help of with the support of her husband. Now, talking about, do I really need to talk about Baba Sahib Ambedkar? He demanded separate electorate for untouchables. He always believed that education is the strongest weapon to combat discriminatory practices. He always wanted Dalits to acquire knowledge, to have knowledge about their rights as human beings. Talking about Fatima Sheikh, she was the first, Muslim woman teacher in India, companion of Phule against caste system discriminatory. She was always against the discriminatory practices. Tarabai Shinde against Hindu patriarchal belief. Ramabai Ranade. She established Seva Sadan to train women to acquire various skills to make their life, to make them self-reliant and economically autonomous. So all these, we cannot forget the contribution of these, feminists. Now, what is the role of literature? Literature gives us a platform where we talk about, where we voice the unvoiced. where we give voice to those who have been muted, who've been silenced for years together. So we talk about that dark side of the society which has never been visible. Literature, any movement to gain momentum needs literature, be it in the form of writing, be it a vocal expression, be it it needs to be, you need to have a documented you need to have something which documents uh, the narratives of of those who are discriminated and humiliated, and literature has been instrumental in doing so. So literature has, I mean, it has by talking about those who have never found a place in writing. uh, it constantly reminds us of to be to be sensitive. It conscientiously tells us to be sensitive towards those, to think about what they have undergone, what are they facing. They talk about the question, all those practices which are making the life of these people who are considered to be browbeaten, who are considered to be marginalized. They are talking about their right to exist and to exist respectfully. Dalit literature. Literature gained impetus in early 1970s when the literary activists worked collectively in the social organization named the Dalit Panthers. The initiative was founded by this initiative was taken by uh, Namdeo Dhasal and J.V. Pawar, and to articulate the unvoiced section of Indian society. Dalit writers use different genres such as fiction, autobiographies, and you will find that there's a recent spurt in autobiographies because they believe by talking about their life, they would be in a better position to instill consciousness in the readers. Short fiction to deconstruct the irrational divided society. Numerous works have been written on Dalits to reflect upon the anguish and agonies of this community of Mahar. It is noteworthy that Dalit autobiography emerged to protest caste prejudices, discriminated grounded in the Indian history. It challenges the stigma, tyranny, and poverty. To talk about the power of literature, to be very honest, we are, yes, we are, we are conditioned by our social surroundings. So sometimes our thoughts are also, we pick up things from what we see and what we hear. So after, to very honestly, I would like to put it across. I would like to convey it to you that there were many things I might, I would say I was a little, insensitive towards the things, because we cannot ignore the social influence. But literature changed my perspective. I started looking at things from a different perspective. I became more sensitive. I'm not saying I was insensitive or I would mock at somebody, or I would I would smash the dignity of some particular segment. But it made me even more sensitive. So that's the power of literature. And I'm sure after Dalit literature will make us more alert and more sensitive to the woes of Dalits, particularly women. Now, moving further, challenge faced by Dalit women writers are why Dalit. My question is why Dalit writers are few. Sorry, why Dalit writers are few? Can anybody answer this? Am I audible?
Ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
All right. Anyone who would like to answer this? Why do we have very few Dalit women writers.
Participants, kindly come up with your answers.
All right. By the time Dalit women started writing, many female writers had already started writing, and they had already, published a lot of work. When they were doing that, Dalit women had yet to, acquire adequate knowledge because they were deprived of it. Education was far away from their reach. They could not, they were not meant. It was believed that education was not meant for them. Men could still have an access to education, but not women. They were denied of this right. And when they started write, and even if some of them managed to write, some of them became literate, they became educated, uh, it was considered that their writings are not worth reading. Dalit, because they would write from their hearts. Another factor because of which affected the ratio of Dalit women writers in the literary circle was when Dalit women started. Many Dalit women, when they started writing, most of them wrote in regional language, and that could hardly be understood by people all around, by all the readers. And so because of that, because they could not understand their writing, so translation of their work was not possible. So that really took time. It really took time to understand their work and to translate them into English. So that is why their tales and narratives are still faceless and nameless. That is why we have very few Dalit women writers. Another thing, what do they write? I think that would be a repetition if I again tell you that their writings would incorporate their problems. They would narrate, the stories of their stories of humiliation. The harrowing experiences happened in their life, the occurrences which were derogatory, are part of their writings. Moving further, all right. Now I would like to talk about two works. One by Baby Kamli, who was also known as Baby Tai, or Tai sometimes. And Baby Tai was not only associated with Jyotiba Phule but also with Ambedkar. Now, The Prison We Broke is the first autobiographical novel in the Marathi language literature, because she belonged to Mahar, the Dalit region in Maharashtra. And this work was originally titled as Jina Amucha and was later translated by Maya Pandit. Through this work, she endeavors to bring to surface the atrocious patriarchal social system and the wicked untouchability, and the poignant narrative of triply marginalized. We have already talked about class, caste, and gender. Now, to throw a little more, to talk more about this, uh, what are Baby Tai's concerns in her autobiographical work? She was never happy with the social hierarchical structure. Her novel questions the democratic hegemony which assures elevation of women only in words and speeches. She was against those documents, which or those papers, who promised or who claimed that Dalit women are placed at an equal pedestal, women are treated equally. So she questioned them because she knew that that was absolutely incorrect. That was not happening in reality, but only on papers. So she questioned the age-old practices and posed threat to the accepted social norms and beliefs where women were considered to be subservient to men, where Dalit men ill-treated them because they were women, and upper caste population treated them, them as nothing less than animals because they belong to that caste. So she depicts the new Mahar women who fight for their rights and assert themselves for gaining self and identity in the patriarchal social system. So this woman is not only questioning, but she's also bringing out solution, and her solution was to say no to these practices. The artistic endeavor of Baby Kamle is an individual narrative, but represents the whole Mahar community. She did not talk only about one woman. She has not talked about herself, but she has talked about women who belong to her community, because all had the same stories to narrate. Now, what are the main highlights of her work? Poverty. She has talked about poverty, and here she says that, people of her community were so poor that they did not have food to eat. They would love to, they would wait for upper caste people to throw food, to throw waste food on the streets, and they would not mind licking them from the streets, from the road, and they did not have anything to store. So, they did not even have any utensil to store water. That was their plight. They did not, and they would live on, wild fruits. They would often go to forests to gather those wild fruits and survive. And many a times they would die of starvation. So next thing, she has talked about evil zamidari system. She was against this zamidari system because they were never free of their debts. They would heavy debts were incurred on them, because of which whatever they would earn they would lose, because they had to pay back the interest. So this was adding problem to their woes to this was adding more to their woes. Now, upper caste and Swarans, the so-called Swarans, now these women, these people would force them. I mean, they because these people would ask them to clean their toilets. They would ask them to collect firewood for them. They would ask them to, sweep their floors, and in return they promised to give them food, which was, and they did not, they would always give them the leftovers. So this is how they were humiliated. Another thing, early marriages. Dalit women were married off at the age of, they were not, I mean, Dalit women would be an incorrect word, because they were married off at the age of 5 to 6. The age when, that tender age where they had to cover the journey from childhood to adulthood. So they were sent off to their in-laws, where they would where they were, I mean, where they had to do everything. They had to please their in-laws, and mother-in-laws would be so harsh, would be so insensitive, that they would believe that the girl, the bride who was just 5 to 6 in age, she would be having the cooking skills as well. And if the girl would fail to cook, so abuses were hurled at her. She would even thrashed sometimes. Another repercussion of early marriage was, early marriage means early pregnancy. So they would get pregnant very early. And let me remind you, medical facility to Dalit population was it was nothing in the, I mean, it was just a word for them, because they never had the privilege to enjoy it. And because of that, many of them got, many of them would die at the time of delivery. Another thing that baby Kamle has highlighted is that, these girls, these mothers would not be fed on something healthy, but they were fed on hard jawahars. And so I mean, which is considered to be, if we go by the advices of old, by our elders, then soft food is supposed to be given, light food is supposed to be given immediately after delivery. So that's how they were treated. Another discriminatory practice, which she's talked about a number of, but one that sought my attention was that upper caste, when in case of a marriage in a family of upper caste people, these lower caste, a lower caste woman was asked to come and render services to the bride, to the would be bride. And it was she has explained this in her book, that after the application, after mehendi was festooned on her hands, the would be bride was not supposed to go out in the fields to defecate. So she would do that. She would excrete in the in the room itself, and that used to be picked up by the woman who was supposed to render services to her, and of course she belonged to the lower caste. So this was another insensitive practice, where she would ask to pick up the defecated garbage of the would-be bride. Last, this is my question, and baby Kamle has beautifully explained it, and of course it has pricked me hard. And I many a times, I'm convinced with this. Sexual service to the influential segment of the society is something which was compelled upon these Dalit women by their husbands, because they wanted to survive in this competitive world, or in this expensive world. They wanted to sustain, so they would offer their wives to the so-called swarans. My question is, if these girls, this population is considered to be untouchables, means they were not meant to be touched, because that would defile them, the so-called upper caste people, then why didn't they mind getting intimated with the women who belong to lower caste? They were very okay with indulging they were very okay, because they had to indulge into a sexual relation with a Dalit woman. Were they not touching her? How could they give way to this act superficially? So that's my question, and the same has been raised by baby Kamle. And here I would like to quote Arundhati Roy. She and I quote: "Men of the privileged caste had undisputed rights over the bodies of untouchable women. Love is polluting, rape is pure." So she has tried to bring out the dichotomy between, the so-called the claims, so-called rules and norms and practices of the upper caste. I think I'm a little. I need to rush. All right. Do I have time, organizers? Some more time I require. All right. Moving to the second novel, Urmila Pawar's The Weave of Life. She's unfolded the stories of struggle of Dalit women, exploitation and suppression, caste, gender and class, powerlessness, apathy, and dispassion. Now, this novel, The Weave of Life, originally is it is also written in Marathi, and the original title of this work is Adan. Now, what is Adan? Adan is this word depicts the low status of Dalits and extreme poverty. Adans are the woven bamboo baskets which Urmila's mother used to weave to sustain. And why this has the same name has been given to has been picked by Urmila, because she believed that her mother's weave and her weave of stories are somewhere linked with each other, because she narrates the stories, the woeful stories of Dalit women. So she believes that both are weaving something, and so they are somewhere very close to each other. What are the main highlights of her work? She has also talked about, she has also challenged the stereotypes, the social stereotypes, the patriarchy, that men are great, women are inferior, men should be treated like this, men should be served first, they should be eating first, and women, it's all right, it's perfectly all right if women go, if they starve all through the day and night too. Uh, Domestic violence, she has also questioned this practice of hitting women, because she has also experienced the same. She has not experienced that on her person, but she had seen it all around. She has talked about, again, she's talked about gender roles. She's talked about duality of the society. She's talked about a very typical, she's talked about menstrual cycle, which is again making, demeaning them. Virginity, the concept of virginity, I'll very quickly put it across that why she has talked about this. Urmila Pawar had witnessed domestic had lost her sister because she became victim of domestic violence. She committed suicide because her husband used to hit her hard, so she could not, somehow she could not, she resisted the very idea of domestic violence. So she would try to articulate her protest whenever she would meet girls. Wherever she would go, she would always tell girls to be, to be mentally strong, so that they could combat this humiliating practice of hitting, of smashing their identity when they are hit. Now, she has also challenged the stereotypes, because she did that by questioning, by bringing changes in her life. She, after she was married off because her mother was very poor and she could not, she wanted to waive off her responsibility. But Urmila was not, I mean, she was not satisfied. She was not satisfied with her marriage. She wanted to do something in her life. So after marriage, with the support of her husband, she managed to acquire, knowledge. She went to, she completed her graduation. It was only when the differences between her husband, her and her, emerged only when she insisted to complete, to take admission in post graduation. Now, next, she also felt very, very humiliated, because because when she got married, and when on her first night, her virginity was checked. So she did not like it, that why white sheets are spread and their virginity is tested. And why virginity is so important, why there's no measure, there's no yardstick to measure the virginity or the purity level of men. So men and menstrual cycle, she has also tried to talk about the feelings of women who menstruate, and they are cornered in their own houses, in their own houses, because they are menstruating, and those days are considered to be impure. Next, she's talked about a duality, where her husband allowed her to work because she would bring money, and when he felt that her identity, she had acquired an identity of her own, he come he tries to impose her man impose himself on her. He tries to restrict her movement. all these things do not merely belong to Urmila Pawar, but belongs to all the women who belong to her community. So she has spoken about everybody because these practices were so common. So she thought of talking about herself first, so that somehow she could encourage other girls, girls belonging to her community, to come out and dissent, to raise a voice of protest against these. I'm I'm skipping that slide. The voices of these incredible women have an exigent and unavoidable clarity. They know what their success means to other marginalized women. In recent times, Dalit women have rightfully asserted their presence in the social sphere and spoken about caste invisibilization. Through these two writers, have tried to bring out what has never been brought out. We talk about Dalit women. How often do we talk about Dalit women, and how deeply do we talk about them? So I'm sure after reading about these writers, you will feel about for them, and you will try to bring them to light, so that they also feel that they are part of us. I would like to conclude uh, by by reading this quote. Enough of this on earth, the blame and the humiliation. Why does the roaring ocean not open its belly and swallow me? So this is, of course, this has pain, this has anger, but this clearly reflects the agony of a Dalit woman who is ready to offer herself to death because she feels that life is not meant for her. So with this, I would like to end my today's talk.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your
Thank you so much,
comprehensible
ma'am, for offering me this platform
and
where I
insight session.
Yes, ma'am.
where I could express my thoughts and emotions for this segment of society who have yet to acquire light. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.